And we're back again, and it's still a dramatic start. Never get bored of looking at that. Yes, it's kind of groovy, and welcome back to Speak on Stage. My name is Dave Crane, and today we've got a ton of stuff to share with you, as always. How are you? Are you fine? If you missed me yesterday, then it's the first time you see me back for a couple of months. If you saw me yesterday, then I'm back next day. How cool is that? I'm not thinking about doing it every single day, but I'm just seeing how the flow goes. As long as you're interested with all these great bits of content, I'll keep sharing them with you. So today's show is very specific. It's about making the world a better place, and hopefully before we get out there making it better, we'll be able to work with you and get you to be up to speed, and more than anything, get your mojo back. What do you mean by that, Dave? Well, let me explain. So then, today's business blueprint is how to restore your mojo. Mojo is motivation, mojo is groove, mojo is I don't know how you spell that, but means something to many people. And if you're a cat, it probably means scratching somebody. But for anybody else, it's a bit of an Austin Powers, don't behave kind of thing. Mojo is what makes you tick. It's what makes you active and makes you feel confident, and the world is playing with you. It's productivity, it's success, it's a ton of different things to different people. But after a year in lockdown, and for many people are still in lockdown, then it's kind of challenging to wonder whether you're ever going to see that back again. We'll be addressing in future episodes, by the way, how to get your friends back and how to make new friends, because that's a challenge. When you got to people, normally you'd shake their hand, say, hi, how are you? Or you'd give them a hug, or you'd say hi, and you'd sort of like pat them on the shoulders. But now you're thinking, do I catch something? And it's not like a whiff of BO. It's COVID. Even if you've had your injections and your vaccine, it's still going through your head. So people are a little bit more standoffish for lots of good reasons, because they've had to learn to do it. One of the things that's really interesting about the whole vaccination and COVID experience is all the anti-maskers and all the anti-vacciners, according to psychologists, are going to be the people that come back faster than anybody else, because they'll be able to deal with the challenges of going back to normal because they never left it. Interesting, isn't it? So we're going to take a big deep dive into all the challenges, all the thoughts, and all the things relating to making you successful, and more than anything, how to get your mojo back. Without your mojo back, then you're basically going to be spending time looking at everybody else being successful, and we want to come out of the house, come out the gates, running and hitting the world in a big way, because it is the world. It's not just, the way that it was before, which is going into work, going to the office, talking to the people, and disappearing. You might never be going back to that office again. Not just because you might have lost your job, which is a tragedy as well, but because of the fact that the world has changed. Now there's more remote staff. We'll be dealing with that in future episodes as well. How to become a better leader, how to become a more effective speaker, how to do hybrid events, and a ton of different things. So I love your thoughts. I love your comments. We're broadcasting live, by the way. Hello. To YouTube. Oh, slow down. To YouTube, to Facebook, to Twitter. Did you slow down then? Didn't it? If I go like that, and like that, and like that, it slows down, but it's back again, which is funny. So we're broadcasting to lots of different places. Love to have your thoughts and comments. Please leave them in here. Next up, let's look at what it means to get your confidence back. The way we're going to look at it and analyze it is actually just, there's a thing called your locus. And I know what you're thinking, is it in my trousers? No, it's not. It's a completely different thing, but it is called a locus, and we're going to be looking at that next on Speak on Stage. Love your thoughts and comments, by the way, but don't say anything rude about locus.
A study was conducted in 1998 at Columbia University by a Professor Claudia M. Mueller. She took a large group of fifth graders and had them work on numerous puzzles by themselves. Now, these were very challenging puzzles, but regardless of how well each child did, he or she was told that they scored very well, that they did better than most of the other kids. Afterwards, half of these students were told that they scored high because they worked hard, while the other half were told that it was all because they were smart and gifted. Then they presented each student with 3 more types of puzzles to work on: easy ones, medium difficulty ones, and extremely challenging ones. And what they found was very interesting. The students who were told that they did well because they were smart spent the majority of their time on the easy puzzles. They spent almost no time on the extremely challenging puzzles and spent much less time overall trying to solve any of the puzzles, which was a sign of lower levels of motivation. And to top it all off, when asked whether or not they enjoyed the experiment, they said that it wasn't that fun for them. On the other hand, the students who were told that they did well because they worked hard spent the majority of their time focused on the harder puzzles. They also spent a lot more time overall attempting to solve any of the puzzles, which was a sign of an increase in levels of motivation. And to top it all off, after the experiment, they said that they actually enjoyed the entire experience. So what can we learn from this study? Well, there's a concept called the locus of control, which is essentially the degree to which you believe you have control over your life. The kids who were told that they did well because they were smart and gifted were led to believe in what's called an external locus of control. They were led to believe that factors outside of what they could control were the reason they did well, right? You can't control whether or not you're born smart. On the other hand, the kids who were told they did well because they worked hard started to believe in what's called an internal locus of control. They believed that it was factors they controlled that led to their outcomes. It was their hard work and their extra effort that allowed them to do well on the puzzles, right? Because how much work you put into something is something that you have complete control over. Now, studies on the locus of control like this one have found time and time again that having an internal locus of control is the key to staying motivated. You must feel like you have control over your life and that you are responsible for the things that happen to you if you want to feel motivated all of the time. I saw this happen with my own eyes back in the day when I was in charge of a sales team. This wasn't retail sales or car sales. This was old school door-to-door sales, which has one of the highest turnover rates. Most people only last a week before quitting. See, you need to be an extremely motivated individual to be able to face hundreds and hundreds of rejections every single day before someone even considers buying something from you. Now, over time, I was able to develop a keen eye for who would actually last, who I should spend more time and energy training. All I had to do was ask a simple question when a new salesperson on my team was confronted with their first bad day, a day in which they made no sales. I would ask them, "Why do you think you made no sales today?" And I would see how they would respond. If they blamed things like the weather, the fact that it's a weekend and nobody wants to be bothered on the weekends, or because it was the neighborhood, I would instantly know that they wouldn't last because they had an external locus of control. They believed that the reason they couldn't make any sales was because of factors outside of their control. And because of this, they spent less time knocking on doors, which was ultimately the real reason why they weren't making any sales. That's the curse of having an external locus of control. When you feel like nothing you do matters, you stop working. You stop trying. Because what's the point of trying when the world's conspiring against you, right? So how do we adopt an internal locus of control so that we can start feeling motivated all of the time? Well, they found that the best way to do so is by simply solving problems in your own life and then taking some time and appreciating the fact that it was your actions that solved this problem. I'll give you an example just to make things more clear. Let's say you're someone who struggles with falling asleep. So you go do some research and you find out if you get some more sunlight in the morning, if you only use your bed for sleeping, and if you install a blue light filter on your phone, that should drastically increase your ability to sleep faster when bedtime comes around. You do all of those things and lo and behold, you find yourself sleeping 15 minutes faster than before. When you notice this improvement, you need to say to yourself, wow, it was because of the changes I made, because of the effort I put in that I am now able to sleep better. It's that simple. Build up that belief that you are in control of your destiny, that you have an internal locus of control, and you will never have issues with motivation in your life again. This episode is brought to you with the help of the guys at Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and much, much more. If there's something you want to learn and improve on, chances are there's a class on that exact subject on Skillshare.
So there we are. What we're talking about ultimately is the fact that you can drive stuff yourself. And the world around you can change, but if you're in charge of the way that you relate to it and you can ask better questions, then you can create complete control. We're going to take a trip into a video vault soon and have a look at how that really affects you. Also, with the blueprints today, it's really about what your mind can do to get your mojo back. Now, when we look in the video vault, I'm going to show you something which is going to make you laugh and you're going to not believe it's happening, but it's completely true. I am by trade a stage hypnotist as well as a hypnotherapist and life coach and business coach and speaker. And so as a result of that, when we did gigs, I would go out on the occasion and do stage hypnosis shows. And you could turn people into anything you wanted to, but the real trick to it, and every stage hypnotist will go, no, well, okay, it is they have to want to create it themselves. Nobody will do anything that they don't want to do. But when you do put your mind to it, you can create incredible stuff. I'm going to share exactly what that means before we get into the business blueprints and work out how to really affect your mind and how you can have huge impact when you work out what it is that you need to do next. Now, I love your thoughts and your comments. Keep sending them, and I will respond to everything, usually during the videos and so on, and then I press the buttons and release it all. But hello to you wherever you are around the world, and welcome for joining us on Speak on Stage. Next, we're going to go for a deep dive into the video vault.
Cheerleading.
Yeah, why?
Because the fans are asking for it.
Okay, and you, what are you doing?
Cheerleading.
Because?
My club is winning.
Oh, your club's winning, okay. Well, come back up here, come back on stage now. And the thing is, we're going to see who was the best one. Just cheer. If you think that the best cheerleader was this gentleman over here, cheer now. If you think the best cheerleader is this one over here, cheer now. I've got to say, from the crowd reaction, you were both excellent. Give them both a massive round of applause! Excellent. So now we're back, and I'm looking very small, but I look a bit bigger when I go like this. Let's look at what you can really do when you put your mind to it. So you've seen what you can do with hypnosis, and that was me on stage with my natural blonde hair. Don't go there. Don't. And during those times, I would have a lot of fun, but as a hypnotherapist, I'd help people to stop smoking, lose weight, deal with childhood issues and fears and phobias and stress. And I stopped my dad smoking, for instance, on his 60th birthday. He's now 75 or 76, something like that. Anyway, but the point is that he hasn't smoked a day since. So it's really effective, and it really does help you to improve your mind. That's why it really matters. And the same thoughts now are really important, because if you're going through any kind of stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness, feeling that your job isn't going to be there for you, or you might have lost your job as well, or you might have lost a loved one, the real challenge is we've never been through this before. It's really difficult to be able to pick yourself up and move forward when you don't know what forward is really going to be. So I want to give you a crash course in the directions that I believe you should be taking for this. And by the way, if you want to go on a special crash course, I'll be sharing with you a little bit later on in today's show how you can have my free 5-day training course on becoming an industry icon. And we'll get to that a little bit later on. So meanwhile, let's look at this. Now I'm going to make myself slightly smaller to illustrate how this should work. So this is called the hedgehog concept. The hedgehog comes from a book by Jim Collins, or two books, Built to Last and Good to Great. And Jim is talking about the importance of what makes a company last for best part of 100 years at the top of the food chain. And this is important because if you get it right, then you can do the same to you. And this is what I did. I'll explain to you in a moment how I managed to reinvent myself doing this stuff when I was speaking and posting videos of me speaking. What do you do when suddenly the world turns around and says there's no more gigs, Dave? And you got to look after your family and your friends and your dogs, and you got to make the whole ecosystem work. Well, let me share with you this. This is the hedgehog, the concept that Jim Collins talked about on how a company lasts for so long, for 100 years. So you've got the founder, you've got the founder's kids, and then you've got the grandkids that take over who want to drive Lamborghinis and have no interest in being in charge of a company at all. It's always been there. Why should I be involved? And so you have to be able to look at certain things. So the story for this is very simple. We talk about Jack Welch, who was a head of General Electrics at the time. And what happens is when he took over, General Electric, which was America's darling electronics company, was hemorrhaging badly on a number of its different products. So the products, it had everything from irons to, I don't know, irons, tigers and bears, no, that's a different thing. Irons, washing machines, kettles, vacuum cleaner, everything it had. But some things weren't ranked really high. They were doing like number 11 in the market. So Jack Welch turned around and said, right, here's the deal. If you're not ranked in 6 months, number 1 and number 2 in the world, then we're going to get rid of you. We're going to close down your division because we're hemorrhaging money, keeping you alive, and we're not making a lot of money. We'll rehouse those we can do in other departments, but that's the way it's going to be. So people said, it's ridiculous. You can't do that. You're going to lose half your staff and your company will fall to bits. But he was completely right. In 6 months, he got rid of anything that wasn't ranked number 1 and number 2. And what happened next was they started making some serious money and people kept their jobs as much as possible, even though you do get the natural wastage. So how does this apply to you? Let's have another look at this diagram then. So I want you to have a look at these 3 circles here. The blue one is the first one I want you to look at, which is the one just on the far. My hands don't go that far, but you can see it on the end. What is it that you're feasibly best at? What do you do so brilliantly that you could be seen as the best in the world at doing? Do a long list. Look at all your job descriptions over the many, many years that you've been there. And it might include hobbies as well as if you haven't been in the workforce for a long time. Just list down all your jobs and all the duties and just put a circle around the things that you turn around to people and they say, right, guys, we've got a project to do. And you say, well, leave that bit to me. I can take care of that. I'm brilliant at it. Leave that. So that's feasibly what you're the best in the world at doing. The next thing to look at is the red circle. What are you passionate about doing? So literally, what is it that you love doing so much that you never get bored of doing at all? And don't be rude. Well, maybe you can do a job for that. Maybe many people do. Clearly not me. So what are you passionate about? What are you brilliant at doing? And the third circle here, the green one, is what drives your economic engine. What that really means is ultimately, what will people pay for? Not what do you want to do, but what do people want to pay for? Now, this is important when you look at how this whole thing comes together. So let's look at it first of all with this. If you are very good at something, so you've got the blue circle, and you are passionate about something, so you've got the red circle, but it doesn't get paid for by anybody. Like, for instance, if I'm fantastic at making origami paper planes, but nobody wants to pay for it, then it's a waste of time me doing anything with it because it's not a sustainable business. If you're brilliant at doing something and it pays really well, but you don't love it, then you're going to be rich but bored, like the people working, not necessarily, but in the stock exchange, for instance, where you work super hard and you burn out by the age of 30, but you're rich, but you're also a bit of a shell of a person, and so you go into rehab and then reinvent yourself, and then you can enjoy your money. Or you can be passionate about something, it pays really well, but you're really rubbish at it, which is my football career. Yeah, I love football. Pays really well, just not to me. So that's your hedgehog in the center, and you get all 3 together. That's what you should be doing. So you love doing it, you're brilliant at it, and people will pay you money. That naturally means that it's your hedgehog. It's the thing you should be working on for the rest of your life to make you super successful. Now, I think you should, I'll just stand to one side. If you want to take a picture of that, I'll go like this, disappear completely, do a screenshot if you must. 3, 2, 1, back again. You missed it. But if you want to take this even further, then I want to share with you this, This is the Japanese ikigai. This diagram is specially created because it does something really special, which is if you look at there's a thing called a blue zone. Certain places around the world are a blue zone, and there's a place in Japan that's a blue zone where people live to like 100 years. And what is it that makes them live to 100 years? Well, very simply because they understand their ikigai. Now, this is an advanced version of what we already talked about with a hedgehog, and I'm going to explain it to you in a moment so you know exactly what I mean when I say advanced version. Okay, so let's look at the circles and what they truly mean first of all. So we've got the blue at the bottom. No, let's take the green at the side. What are you good at doing? Okay, then the blue at the bottom, what can you be paid for? And the pink one at the top is what do you love, and then we added what the world needs. Now it's important that the world's going to need it, because you might say the world needs it, but we've also got to look at it and say, what does the world want to pay for? Because if you break it down to even further, then you get your mission, your passion, your mission, your profession, and your vocation. You need to get your ikigai, which is in the center, which is doing what you love, doing what you're good at, doing what you can be paid for, and doing what the world needs to get from you. So there's an ongoing supply of people who want to work with you. Really, really important to get all those factors right. Are you with me so far? Does that make sense? Good. I'm glad you're with me. Next up, we're going to look at how to restore your mojo and look at some key restoration points that I think will make a huge difference. So if you just joined us, give us your tips, give us your ideas, let me know whereabouts in the world you are. We chatted to people yesterday. Excuse me. That wasn't cool. I've had my vaccines. You're not going to catch anything from the screen. Australia, Palestine, India, Britain, America. Where else did we go to yesterday? Canada, Holland, and Germany. And I think we had a few other places that came through. Did I mention UAE? Dubai we had as well. So it's very cool to get all those different people saying hi. So next up, we're going to look at what you've got to do. 10 things to restore your mojo. That's up next on Speak on Stage. So glad you've got still there with me. And cheers, by the way, if you're enjoying a coffee and chilling out with this show, then that's extra good. So let's look at the things you need to do to really invent yourself and work on it. First of all, start pacing yourself on every single level. Your personal life, your friendships, the way that you go out and do stuff or you stay in, and just pace yourself. Doesn't mean you've got to slow down and be really boring, but it does mean you need to be able to take responsibility for how you're doing things, because if you don't know how you're doing it, you don't control what goes on, then it can be out of control and you'll have no idea because it's subconscious and below your radar. So start pacing yourself. Don't have to slow things down, just do them so it's controlled in the way that you want them to. Well, at least the things that you want to control. Next up, understand your mojo. Google it, get to the heart of what it means to you. Find out what happiness means to you and your emotional and mental health. Today's show, I'm not going to spend too long on these subjects. We will do them more in depth in future shows. But knowing your mojo, what motivates you, knowing what keeps you happy, and also understanding the emotional and mental stress that you've been going through, and also other people. Because the thing is, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what you're going through as an experience, it's like a fish looking for water. Where's this water that everyone's talking about? You're in it. And it's hard to judge because you're too close to the subject. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. Thank you. Okay, then you can say yes, Dave, if you want. Just type yes, Dave, and whatever. So then create a positive ecosystem around yourself. What does that mean? Well, make sure that every interaction that you have with the outside world is one that makes you feel happy. Don't do stuff that makes you feel sad. Don't spend time doing things that make you feel upset, or at least reduce them right down. Some things you have to do because that's just part of life. Maybe go to work, that's part of life. But in that whole thing, get rid of the negative influences at the same time. So your ecosystem should be sustainable. So just by waking up, doing your hedgehog on a daily basis, you should feel super happy in everything you do. Does that make sense about the hedgehog stuff? Does that? Yes, good. Fantastic. So as I mentioned with hedgehog, that was a hedgehog I mentioned earlier. Where's the hedgehog? This should be it. He said pressing a button, which clearly hasn't come back. And so we'll just go to this. Right, so then on top of it, get vaccinated. Yeah, I know some people are saying, well, Dave, I don't really care. Look, here's the thing. Choose your vaccine, any of them will do. If you don't get round to choosing a vaccine and getting vaccinated, and not once but twice, unless it's the one that only needs one, then what you're doing is you're leaving yourself wide open to catch it again, and on occasion that has happened. And also, you leave yourself in a position where everybody else can catch it because you might be a carrier. Now, you don't get herd immunity unless, I'm not going to get into a story, but you can Google it or you can find, but get a vaccine. We don't get out of our houses and start playing safely and hug people and have the world we had before until everyone decides to get that herd immunity. And we need something like 70%, apparently, to make that a real thing. Moving on. All right, get fresh air whenever it's possible. Open windows if you're stuck inside. Go for a walk around the garden. Walk around the block. It helps to recharge yourself by going back to nature. And even if you're in an inner city and there's not a lot of nature to get access to, like a park or something, just going outside really helps. The world's actually easier to deal with thanks to the fact that we've been in lockdown, so there's less cars driving around than were before. And as a result of that, climate change and the atmosphere is a lot better. It's been better for nature as well. Unless you've got tigers and bears walking down your high street, then everything should be getting in the right direction. Number 7 is this. Working on you. Get yourself to do something that's active and proactive like this. This is my show. Speak on stage. Build up your brand. Work on your social media. You don't have to have a TV show. You don't even have to have a podcast. There's something like 1.6 million people have got podcasts around the world, and that number is growing. Clubhouse is growing. As a direct result, we'll take a little look at Clubhouse because I'm on tonight. But if you want to know how to do your TV show, your brand, or any of these things, I've got the Industry Icon program. I'll give you a free experience of that later on in the show. I'll explain it to you, but just start doing it. Start creating your brand and work on that. It's very, very important indeed. All right. Excuse me. That's my bad banana coming back from my breakfast. Yes, I had a banana for breakfast. Did you, Dave? We wanted to know that. No, you didn't. Cheers. Still on my breakfast. I have an all-day breakfast. All right, get tech savvy. Understand how things work. The advantages that you'll have over the rest of people in your niche and in your brand and in your industry is the more that you can embrace the disruption that's all around us and start getting the technical and things that will move you further forward. If you don't know how to do it, then one of the great ways of learning is reverse mentoring. Get somebody younger to show you how to do stuff if you don't know how to do it. And if you are somebody younger, then you already probably know. But get tech to get you there faster. In 1 year of lockdown, we've actually gone about 10 years in development and implementation of tech because we had no choice. So the world will never be the same again, and it may feel like it's going too fast for you with good reason. That's why you need to get tech savvy and move along. That's why I can do this show on my own. No team, just me. Hello. Doing it on my own. Start a side hustle. Once you start doing the tech, create a business on the side. Something that you really love to do. I will talk about side hustles in the future because I think it's a really important part of your business, not least the fact that because we had so many challenges in the last year or so, if you had a side hustle ticking alongside it, then you could have earned money and brought it in, especially in the entertainment and events business. If you had a second business that had nothing to do with that, then you're probably okay. I know a lot of entertainers who've stopped working and may never go back to that job ever again, purely because they didn't have something to fall back on. And that's the nature of many other industries too. And the 10th thing is this: chill out. We all managed to survive, if you're here, you're watching it anyway, our year off from progress. Nobody thought we were going to have it at all. I mean, that year off, I don't know if you went to university. If you did go to university, you might take the year off. Cheers. I've been talking a lot. You might have noticed. But that year off from university, if you took it, a chance to do what you wanted to do, meet people and all the rest of it, you've kind of had that year now. And it maybe didn't feel like it because you're also struggling and challenged and worried and lost people and all the things that went with it. But it's still a year off from your life that you can look and say, what did I get out of it? Remember what we talked about earlier. If you just joined us now, go back and look at the video I shared earlier about the locust, about the idea that you can get control of what's going on because you believe that you can control it. And that really drives what you can actually do. I knew that with my family, if I didn't take control of where we're going, we were stuffed. And now here we are a year later, and I'm doing TV shows, streaming it, doing all sorts of incredible stuff that's really exciting. So I would recommend to anybody, these are the things you should look at. I'm going to reduce myself down to being very ickle. If you want to take a screenshot of this, and I won't wave too much. Hello. I have a screenshot of me waving and moving my glasses up. I was going to pick my nose then, but it was just gross, so I decided not to. So that's what you need to be looking at. If this stuff is of interest to you and you enjoy it, then make sure that you do chill out and enjoy the shows on a regular basis. Connect with me, subscribe to me on YouTube. There's lots of great stuff going there that nobody sees anywhere else. And also when it comes to doing the other stuff that we talk about, then make sure that you connect with me there too, because it'll make a big difference. On all the different social media platforms, and you can see them just above here. Make sure you connect on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as LinkedIn, but you're probably already connected to me on LinkedIn anyway, which is kind of cool. So with that in mind, let's move forward. I want to share with you now another way that you can get your mojo back, and you can get it tonight, depending on what time you're watching this. You can join me in a couple of hours, or if you missed it, you'll have to wait another 3 days, because I will share with you exactly what I do when it comes to relaxing, connecting, and getting my mojo back. So here we are back again, and I can show you my screen. In fact, if I do this and show you if it comes through, oh, it's frozen. Oh, look at that, it's frozen. I have to reconnect it maybe. I won't, I'll just leave it there. Anyway, just to say that if you go on Clubhouse tonight and connect, then we've got our special show, How to Start Your USA TV Show, which is very cool. And that's going to be at 8:30 UAE time. So if you're in America, it's probably just your breakfast time waking up. If you're in Europe, then you're probably going to go, oh, it's tea time, it's early, like 5, 6 o'clock. I can just have my dinner and catch up with Dave in that room. And if you're in Australia, you're already thinking about going to bed, aren't you? But you're staying up just so you can catch up with that. And if you're in India, you're kind of caught between watching Netflix and saying this sounds like a good idea. If you want to have your own TV show, if you want to be effective, if you want to use it as part of your branding or your side hustle, then you have to come along and join us in this particular room. We may be going live online, by the way, which would be very cool as well. I'm not sure. We're just discussing about it, because everybody in the room then has to agree if it's going broadcasting on this channel here, whichever one you're watching us on. They have to agree that if they do speak, it can be shared with other people. And the rules of Clubhouse say that you can do that as long as everybody's on the same page. So that'll be something that we're investigating and looking at, which would be rather cool as well. I think so. So then, we're going to go to a video vault. Before we do that, actually, I'd like to just summarize everything for you. Move forward. So video vault's coming up. Moving forward, where does that position you? What do you have to do? Well, first of all, remember what we talked about. We've got those 10 rules about getting your mojo back again. Think about Ikigai, think about Hedgehog, Google them. But most of all, stop being so hard on yourself. This is a work in progress. Nobody's ever been through this before. And that's why it's so difficult to get your head around. It just doesn't seem fair. And it's not really, but it is what life's about. And the smart people take it on the chin and do something with it. Everybody else sits there whining. And you know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin playing for how sad you should feel about your life. Because the truth is, and it sounds terrible to say this, but nobody else cares as much as you do about what happens next to you. So therefore, you need to do something about it instead of thinking about everybody else. Okay, with that, I'm going to finish with Video Vault, and then we will catch up with you with the next episode of Speak on Stage. Love your thoughts, love your comments. Remember to subscribe on whatever channel you're watching, but especially on my YouTube channel, because there's some extra stuff there that you can't find anywhere else. And also let me know your thoughts. If you want to work with me, by the way, directly, then I can tell you there's something very special for you. All you have to do is go to Speak on Stage. Oh, look at that. That's my speed. Do you want to have that? Okay, go to speakonstage.com, which is this website here. And on that website, you can go up and down, all the different things there. Look, you can get by special packages. But if you just want to start off by learning how to do this especially, then click on the Get Your Free 5-Day Mini Course. And that'll take you through to this video, this page. Just register with your name and your email, okay? And then you can also do it at the bottom when you've read it through and watch the video, make sure that you enjoy all the stuff that comes from there. And then you'd be very welcome to come and join me on that program. It is absolutely free. And if you want to catch up with me directly and have a chat, then you can do that too. Just go to my website or the platform that you're on now and connect with me and say, Dave, I'd like to have a chat with you. On there, actually, you can book a 15-minute chat on the calendar link, and we can see how we can reinvent your business or get you onto a TV show or all the above. Or catch me on to Clubhouse, as I mentioned earlier. I'll be waiting there to welcome you in a couple of hours' time on the show. So, as I did promise, we're going to go and have a look at exactly something that should inspire you until we catch up same time tomorrow. With another episode of Speak on Stage, where we talk about how to become a really effective speaker. So if you want to do the stuff that I do, and you want to do it online or offline, in a future episode, by the way, I'm just been putting it together, we'll be talking about the events industry and the importance of hybrid events. Watch out for that. But meanwhile, if you want your motivation, then here for you is Fair Play. Have an amazing day. Take care. Stay safe. I'm sorry. I didn't explain. I tried to motivate you and move you forward, but quite clearly all I brought you was pain. Tried to share some ideas and I didn't do enough to show you what I really meant, because it left you feeling confused, and afterwards your brain was spent. And I should have used smaller words, and I should have been more than enough, but somehow it ended up making you feel bad, and it was kind of tough, and you wanted to have me stop and go back again, and maybe you weren't paying attention, and then you feel like you've stayed at school and you've been naughty and you're in detention, and you want to get me sharing with you more stuff, and I gotta do more for you. And you don't want to pay for it because, you know, I could get this off the internet too. But my friend told me this, and you know, they're into the same kind of stuff as you, but I don't see why I should pay or I should make the effort, because I want it to come in a bottle as well. And if I get it in a bottle, I get it in a pill form, I'll never have to do much work. But it doesn't work that way. None of it does. If you want to get something out of life, you've got to get off your ass and move. You've got to look around and see where you come from. You've got to make a decision. Where are you going to go? And how do you think they get there, all those stars? How do you think they get there, all those people who turn around and say, I'm amazing, I'm a Kardashian, I'm on the front of a newspaper, I'm on the front of a website, I'm an influencer, I'm a celebrity, I'm super rich, I'm super powerful. Do you think they all got it for free? And some did, and some didn't. Some worked their asses off, and some still do. And some people wait, and some people complain, and we don't realize how easy it is, and that might be you. One day won't matter, we'll have no time left, and people will say to you, did it matter to you how hard you worked? How many people helped you? And the answer will be no. All that matters is, what did I get out of it? And the best way to judge is that smile you have right now, or that frown that won't go away. It's your choice. It's your life. And for me, yeah, I'm gonna play.